Hey everyone, it's me, and today I'm going to be ranking and reviewing all of the recent Marvel Disney Plus TV shows. And just a fair warning, number one, there will probably be spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, watch the shows and then please come back and watch this video, I'm begging you. And number two, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan out there. I just decided to talk about these shows because I wanted to give a more critical viewpoint on them, as well as the fact that I want to grow this channel. So if you find yourself enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing because it would really help me out a lot, especially for a smaller creator like me. But yeah, let's just get into the ranking. So the main buzz I was hearing about Wandavision before watching it was that it was rarely pushing the boundaries for the MCU. It was supposedly doing something very different. And I don't know, the only thing that the show did differently was the fact that it had a different aspect ratio for like 3 episodes. Bruh. The rest of it was kinda just generic Marvel movie bullshit. I found myself kinda enjoying the sitcom aesthetic, although laugh tracks will forever be annoying and I can barely stand them. I really like the fact that I saw these characters on an actual set and not some green screen background. Some of the effects were used very well to suit the old-timey aesthetic that they were going for in portraying the TV shows, but some of the other effects just felt so out of place and they were very inconsistent. Like that goddamn CG bird, that was so awful. Like, if this was an actual show in the 70s, they would have to get a real bird for that shit, I'm just saying. The whole show kinda just felt like very wasted potential to me. The whole aspect of the show that kept me the most invested was the whole mystery in the narrative of the first few episodes. But this mystery is completely ruined by the 4th episode. The mystery of the show was built up really well within these first 3 episodes. There were these moments of surreal elements used within the show that genuinely felt a bit disturbing and supernatural. But as I say again, this entire plotline was ruined by the 4th episode, where the show switched to classic dumb Marvel formula and forced these like FBI SWAT fucking bitches into the show, and that honestly just ruined the whole mystery aspect for me. And honestly, everything that happened in the show after episode 4 just kinda lost me. Everything felt like it just spun off the rails after that point. The one thing that I was looking forward to in this show was the use of witchcraft and magic, because as a concept that seems genuinely interesting to me. I've always liked the more magical superheroes like Doctor Strange because they kind of have limitless possibilities with what they can do with their magic. But that isn't really explored in this show. Wanda just has some dumb red smoke and that is portrayed as like, ooh, so magical. The reveal of Agnes as a villain was also such a stupid and forced twist, and it felt like it came out from absolutely nowhere. There was literally nothing that led up to this twist besides the fact that she wore a witch costume in that one Halloween episode. It just felt so forced, and considering the heaps of other super people that were in this show, it just felt so bloated and unnecessary. And the introduction of Agnes as an evil witch again just contributes to another stupid Marvel stereotype of the hero just fighting a bad guy version of themselves. Oh no, we need an evil witch to fight the good witch. And also, we need to make a evil Vision to fight the good Vision. Pew 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 pew. This type of storytelling is so lazy. So many of the villains in Marvel's movies are just poorly explored bad guy versions of the heroes, and it's so lame. And besides the villains, the other characters in this show also kind of suck. All the human characters were annoying and just felt like they had no purpose. The kid actors were awful. I know they're kids and I'm sorry, but god, watching them trying to act was a pain. Diamond! And although X-Men Quicksilver is best boy, I don't exactly know what his purpose in the show was. Like, he was kinda just there for some reason. And he just feels like a character nobody gave enough of a shit about in the first place to reintroduce. Like, seriously, who was all hyped that Quicksilver would return in the MCU? Like, come on. What you say? But yeah, those are my thoughts on WandaVision. I didn't really like it too much, and it was my least favorite of the Marvel shows. And I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. The first thing I noticed about Falcon and the Winter Soldier is how visually inconsistent this show is. Like, there are some really good shots sprinkled within this show, but also a lot of it looked really unappealing and bland. There's some close-up shots in the beginning of the show during the therapy scenes that looked really bad, and the action in this film was shot and edited in such a way that you could barely tell what's going on. Ah yes, I love seeing action that has a cut every 0.5 seconds. It's just the best. Another problem I had with some of the visuals was some of the effects work within the show. I also noticed this within the recent Black Widow movie, but it just seems like the effects in some of these projects have slowly degraded, which is weird because the effects in Loki looked absolutely great. Going into the show, I just wanted to achieve one simple thing, and that was turning Captain America's little side bitches into actual compelling characters. And this show kinda achieves that, but it's only really explored in one episode, and the rest of the show is just them bickering and fighting with each other. And like, why was this even a thing? Like, why do they hate each other? Them disliking each other as a plot point just made for some super cringy and childish dialogue. But in that one episode where they do actually develop and focus on these characters, was done really well. I honestly liked the sections of the show the most when they weren't actually doing superhero stuff, because it gave time for these characters to breathe and just feel grounded and feel like actual likable people, with more qualities to them than just superhero. I like the approach they took to dealing with the events of the blip, because it is so like current society to not pull their shit together for people that just vanished off the face of the earth for 5 years. But with the whole blip situation, I'm pretty confused on the direction the MCU is trying to explore this tragic event. Because in some of the films it has been treated like the biggest fucking joke ever, and in stuff like this, it's a really serious event that genuinely impacted people. I really dislike how inconsistent they are with this tragic event. They just seem like they don't know how to handle it. Although there were some elements of the story that I like, most of it I really didn't like so much. It felt like there was just way too many different characters and plot lines shoved into this thing. And despite it being a TV show, it still struggles to tell a compelling narrative around all of these characters. Some of the characters were explored very well, like Falcon and Isaiah, but other characters like Sharon just felt so out of place, and it felt like she had absolutely no purpose being here besides fan service. I felt like the show couldn't properly balance all of the characters, and everything towards the end of the show was forced together with such poor conveniences. Like, you're telling me that this powerful super soldier we followed throughout the whole show could just be capped with one bullet? That does not make a lot of sense to me. I really like the idea of a new Captain America, but he's just a dickhead, and that's what I assume most of the show would be going into it. But it's really not that. Sure, the guy that played John Walker does a really good job at making an unlikable douchey Captain America, but I just wish it was explored further. But no, we had the whole plotline with Carly and the revolutionary shit. The show had some pretty good social commentary, even the messages with the revolutionary stuff were really good messages, but it kind of failed at conveying some of these messages properly. The commentary on the view of a black man being the person to carry the shield was really powerful, but as I say again, all the revolutionary stuff with Carly was just handled so poorly. In all honesty, Carly being the mascot of the more socio-political side of the show just didn't suit well with me. The show rarely tries to get the audience to empathize with her. Falcon himself rarely wants to reason with her, although she's literally a fucking terrorist who killed a ton of people. Now, we can't kill Carly, but all those random gangsters we killed in that earlier episode, pfft, screw those guys. I don't care how badly the show tried to glorify Carly and support her political views, she was still a fucking terrorist.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. Also, minor nitpick, but at the end of the show there was a title card that said Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And this title card was here because Falcon becomes Captain America. But would it not make more sense for the title card to say Captain America and the White Wolf? I don't know, the whole show was about how Falcon grew to become Captain America, and how Bucky grew to distance himself from his horrid past at being the Winter Soldier. So why would they still give him the title of the Winter Soldier? I don't know, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, just saying. And now we're on to Loki, the final and my favorite of the new MCU TV shows. Loki is probably the most fun I've had watching an MCU thing in a while. Like, I'm not really invested in this franchise anymore, like I used to be when I was a bit younger, but I've grown out of it. And for some reason, I've still carried on watching everything the MCU has released since then. And after a few years of some really bad MCU stuff, I can happily say that I quite enjoyed Loki. The series manages to have a great blend on what it takes seriously and what it decides to poke fun at and be more comedic with. Like, the decision to make everything that is built up through the whole MCU somewhat meaningless is pretty funny to me. I've always liked Loki as a character because he's always been more than just a generic Marvel villain, and I'm happy to say that the show develops his character extremely well. And the performance Tom Hiddleston gives off is so good and helps encapsulate Loki, or this version of Loki, very well. I can't really say I liked the other performances too much though. I think the actor for Sylvie did a decent job, but everyone else was kinda eh. But yeah, I really liked how they took Loki's character and developed him to receive a kind of redemption arc behind all his villainous acts. There's a lot of current media today that is portraying villains as heroes because villains can't just be fucking villains, but this show does it in a way where the character's flaws are still apparent and their villainous motives are still there. But there is an actual arc that justifies the character's redemption. Speaking of Loki's character, how did I feel about him being canonically bisexual? And as somebody that is a part of the LGBTQ+ community, I kind of disliked it. I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind of cool that some people in the community may have somebody to relate to in the MCU now, especially a very popular character like Loki, and that's really cool for those people, but personally, I think it would have been really cool if him being bi was a proper exploration of his character. But it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was kind of just a pandering line that could have easily been edited out to appeal to countries where absolutely all queer media is fucking banned. It just felt like a throwaway line that had no purpose, especially considering his development in a relationship with himself but girl version. I'm not mad that Loki has uwu-owo feelings for a girl. I mean, he's bi, he can like whoever the fuck he wants. But the fact that he technically kissed himself is just kinda weird to me. Like, they're the same person. He could have still cared for her, and their story could have gone just fine, and they could have just been homies. That doesn't seem so hard to me. But no, they forced this weird romance thing between them, and it was weird, okay? It was weird. The story was kind of hit or miss at moments to me. Like, yeah, it did have a lot of dumb, forced narrative shit that kept the plot moving, but I mostly enjoyed it. I really liked how they used magic in this show, especially in comparison to Wandavision. The magic actually felt like it was something whimsical and surreal and not some dumb fucking red smoke bullshit. I mean, in this show, the magic did look similar, but green, but it was actually used in a creative way, and the characters use some really interesting spells and techniques, I guess. But I think my favorite part of the show was definitely the score. This is hands down the best and the most unique score in any other MCU property. Most Marvel music is kind of generic, but the music in this show felt like it fit so well wherever it was used. And that intro song, that shit always had my head bopping in the beginning of the episodes. But yeah, Loki isn't some amazing piece of media, it's no masterpiece, but it is one of the few Marvel things that I can say that I actually enjoyed in quite a while. And I'm gonna give Loki a 6 out of 10. Okay, there's the ranking. I didn't mean for them to be ranked in order of release, and I didn't mean for the ratings to be in ascending order, but that just happened, and it was unexpected, but that's just how it went. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video despite me talking a lot of smack on Marvel things that a lot of people probably rarely like. That's just my thoughts and my opinions. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye!